For Tori, this is Alice in Wonderland, Chapter 3, A Causcus Race and a Long Tail. They were indeed a queer-looking party that assembled on the bank. The birds with draggled feathers, the animals with their fur clinging close to them, and all dripping wet, cross and uncomfortable. The first question, of course, was how to get dry again. They had a consultation about this, and after a few minutes it seemed quite natural to Alice to find herself talking familiarly with them, as if she had known them all her life. Indeed, she had had quite a long argument with the Lorry, who at last turned sulky and would only say, "I'm older than you, and must know better." And this Alice would not allow without knowing how old it was, and as the Lorry positively refused to tell its age, there was no more to be said. At last the mouse, who seemed to be a person of authority amongst them, called out, "Sit down, all of you, and listen to me. I'll soon make you dry enough." They all sat down at once, and in a large ring with a mouse in the middle. Alice kept her eye anxiously fixed on it, for she felt sure she would catch a bad cold if she did not get dry very soon. "Ahem," said the mouse with an important air. "Are you all ready? This is the driest thing I know. Silence all round, if you please. William the Conqueror, whose cause was favoured by the Pope, was soon submitted to by the English, who wanted leaders, and had been of late much accustomed to assertion and conquest. Edward and Monacar, the Earls of Mercia and Northumberland—" "Ugh!" said the laddie with a shiver. "I beg your pardon," said the mouse, frowning, but politely. "Did you speak?" "Not I," said the Lorry hastily. "I thought you did," said the mouse. "I proceed. Edwin and Monacar, the Earls of Mercia and Northumberland, declared for him, and even Snaggart, the patriotic Archbishop of Canterbury, found it advisable—" "Found what?" said the duck. "Found it," the mouse replied rather crossly. "Of course you know what it means." "I know what it means well enough, when I find a thing," said the duck. "It's generally a frog or a worm. The question is, what should the Archbishop find?" The mouse did not notice the question, but hurriedly went on. "Found it advisable to go with Edgar Athelin to meet William and offer him the crown. William's first conduct at first was moderate, but the insolence of his Normans— How are you getting on, my dear?" it continued, turning to Alice at its way. "As wet as ever," said Alice in a melancholy tone. "It doesn't seem to dry me at all." "In that case," said the Dodo solemnly, rising to her, "I move that the meeting adjourn for the immediate adoption of a rather more energetic remedies." "Speak English," said the Eaglet. "I don't know the meaning of half these long words, and what's more, I don't believe you do either." And the Eaglet bent its head down to hide a smile. Some of the other birds had twittered audibly. "What I was going to say," said the Dodo in an offended tone, "was that the best thing to get us dry would be a Causcus race." "What is a Causcus race?" said Alice. Not that she wanted to know, but the Dodo paused as if that somebody ought to speak, and no one seemed inclined enough to say anything. "Why?" said the Dodo. "It's the best way to explain it is to do it. And as you might like to try the thing yourself some winter day, I'll tell you how the Dodo managed it. First, it marched out a race course in a sort of circle. The exact shape doesn't matter, it said. And then all the party were placed along the course here and there. There was no 1, 2, 3, and away, but they all began running when they liked, and let off when they liked. So it's not easy to know when the race was over. However, they had been running for half an hour or so, and were quite dry again. The Dodo suddenly called out, "The race is over!" And they all crowded around, panting and asking, "But who has won?" This question the Dodo could not answer without a great deal of thought, and it sat for a long time with one finger pressed upon its forehead, the position in which you usually see Shakespeare in the pictures of him, while the rest waited in silence. At last the Dodo said, "Everybody has won, and all must have prizes." "But who's to give the prizes?" Quite a chorus of voices asked. Why, she, of course, said the Dodo, pointing at Alice with one finger, and the whole party at once crowded round her, calling in a confused way, "Prizes! Prizes!" Alice had no idea what to do, and in despair she put her hand in her pocket and pulled out a box of comfits. Luckily the salt water had not gone into them, and handed them round as a prize. There was exactly one piece all round. "But she must have a prize herself, you know," said the Mouse. "Of course," the Dodo replied very gravely. "What else have you got in your pocket?" he went, turning to Alice. "Only a thimble," said Alice sadly. "Hand it over," said the Dodo. When they all crowded round her once more, the Dodo suddenly presented the thimble, saying, "We beg your acceptance of this elegant thimble." And when it finished this short speech, they all cheered. Alice thought the whole thing very absurd, but they all looked so grave that she did not dare to laugh, and as she could not think of anything to say, she simply bowed and took the thimble, looking as solemnly as she could. Next thing was to eat the comfits. This caused some noise and confusion, as the large birds complained that they could not taste theirs, and the small ones choked and had to be patted on the back. However, at last, it was over at last. They sat down again in a ring and begged the Mouse to tell them something more. "You promised to tell me your history, you know," said Alice. "And why is it you hate and," she added in a whisper, half afraid that it would offend again. "Mine is a long and sad tale," said the Mouse, turning to Alice and sighing. "It's a long tale, certainly," said Alice, looking down with wonder at the Mouse's tale, "but why do you call it sad?" She kept on puzzling about it while the Mouse was speaking, so that her idea of the tale was something like this. "Fairy said to a mouse that he met in a house. 'Let us both go to the law. I will prosecute you.' 'Come, I'll take no denial. We must have a trial. For this very morning I have nothing to do.' Said the Mouse to the Cur, 'Such a trial, sir, with no jury or judge, would be wasting our breath.' 'I'll be judge and I'll be jury,' said the cunning old Fury. 'I'll try the whole cause and condemn you to death.' 'You're not attending,' said the Mouse to Alice severely. 'What are you thinking of?' 'I beg your pardon,' said Alice very humbly. You got to the fifth bend, I think?' 'I had not!' cried the Mouse, sharply and very angrily. Not,' said Alice, always ready to make herself useful and rather anxiously about herself. 'Oh, do let me help you undo it.' 'I shall do nothing of the sort,' said the Mouse, getting up and walking away. 'You insult me by talking such nonsense.' 'I didn't mean it,' pleaded poor Alice, 'but you're offended so easily, you know.' The Mouse only growled in reply. 'Rrr.' 'Come back and finish your story,' Alice called after it, and all the others joined in the chorus. 'Yes, please do,' but the Mouse only shook its head impatiently and walked a little quicker. 'What a pity it wouldn't stay,' sighed the Lory, as soon as it was quite out of sight, and an old crab took the opportunity of saying to her daughter, 'Ah dear, let us be listened to you, to never lose your temper.' 'Hold your tongue, Ma,' said the old crab a little sharply. 'You're enough to try the patience of any oyster.' 'I wish I had our Diana here.' 'I know I do,' said Alice loudly, addressing no one in particular. 'She'd soon fetch it back.' 'And who is Diana, if I might venture to ask the question?' said the Lory. Alice replied eagerly, for she was ready to talk about her pet. 'Diana's our cat, and she's a capital one for catching mice you can't think. Oh, I wish you could see her after the birds. She'll eat a bird as soon as you look at it.' This speech made a remarkable sensation among the party. Some of the birds hurried off at once. One old magpie began wrapping itself very carefully, remarking, 'I must be getting home. The night air doesn't suit my throat.' And a canary called out in a trembling voice to its children, 'Come away, my dears. It's high time you're all in bed.' On various pretexts they all moved off, and Alice was soon left alone. 'I wish I hadn't mentioned Diana,' she said in a melancholy tone. 'No one seems to like her down here, and I'm sure she's the best cat in the world. Oh, my dear Diana, I wonder if I shall see you any more. And here poor Alice began to cry again, for she felt very lonely and low-spirited. In a little while, however, she heard little padding footsteps in the distance, and she looked up eagerly, half hoping that the mouse had changed his mind and was coming back to finish his story.